this?
What the hell? Oh my God!
Becky Lynch! Seth Rollins' wife! Just low-blown CM Punk!
Punk of the... Oh! Save the match one!
Save the championship for Rollins! Off the stomp and the cover!
And that's the close of WWE Clash in Paris tonight. And this is the Wrestling Cause podcast. We're going to recap it. I'm not giving you a proper intro for this. We're just not going to do it. I almost didn't want to go and do this tonight because there's just a lot of things I just felt that were just not right about this. So now, the Bonnie and Clyde kind of deal now, and the fact that Becky Lynch has now joined the Vision, that's fine. Listen, the real talk about this whole night coming out of the show in Paris is the fact that AJ Lee might actually be coming back out of retirement to set up an intergender match or a mixed tag with AJ Lee pairing up with CM Punk after all this time against Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. And somewhere we're going to have the lead up to their continued feud for the World Heavyweight title. That's going to be it for that. Otherwise, the other newsworthy part of the show tonight, Roman Reigns in a segment that took almost an hour, 56 minutes from the start of the show till we had Adam Pearce backstage ejecting Big Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker for their interference post-match, where Roman Reigns is being taken out for storyline purposes because he's going to be out for a while. I guess he's doing another feature movie or something like that. I forget. Oh yeah, he's doing Street Fighter. Right. So he's out. But the introductions, it took 15 minutes just to get the match started with Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed. They go 20 minutes, probably about 10 minutes too long. A big man style match, because you can't get Bronson Reed to go and move that fast around the ring. He doesn't have. He's 37 years old, and let me tell you, he runs slow. Sure, I mean, I'm surprised he can still get up on the ropes. They say 330 pounds is his said weight. I don't believe it. It's higher than that for sure. And Roman Reigns is booked like the babyface that he has to keep kicking out, which is the one thing he still has left, but otherwise, nothing. I mean, you've basically just taken away any of the mojo with Roman Reigns' character that has been invested over the last 4 years. Last 5 years, for that matter. Paul Heyman was not much of a factor at all, And I really just felt this show was sluggish. It went 4 hours, basically. About as close to 4 hours as you want to get. Because when did we get to the finish of the match? 5:45, 5:50 Eastern time? But, I mean, for, what is it, 6 matches in the card? It was 6 matches in the card. It felt like forever. But everybody got a lot of time in these matches. This felt a lot like a SmackDown tonight. I mean, with some of the matches that this Paris crowd got, okay, you got 30,000 plus in this Paris La Defense arena. You got such a big crowd for this. This is what you gave them? You sandwiched Roman Reigns and a very long match with Bronson Reed that meant nothing. Oh, he gets his shoes back. And then when he gets his shoes back, he signs them and gives them off. And then they start to generate the post-match angle. This is all Paul Heyman written all over it. So Paul Heyman gets to go and book anything that has to do with the Vision, which was the focus tonight, sandwiched in. Roman Reigns stretchered out. I mean, how many times do we have to go and see somebody where Braun Breaker or Bronson Reed are able to go and get back in? Here's another spear. Here's another tsunami. Here's another spear. Here's another tsunami. That's it. Jimmy Uso come out it was Jay Uso, right? Comes out so late after this tirade's going on. And then we move along to Adam Pearce, and nobody's coming out here to go and help. It's like, what's going on here? And the Vision continues to go ahead and, make their tirade on. And we're all supposed to expect, okay, so the good news is that Seth Rollins is going to be all alone for his match later tonight in the Fatal 4-Way. And Jey Uso is hurt going into the Fatal 4-Way. So they're booking a little bit towards the end of the night. Okay, I give them credit for that. But then these in-between matches. Oof. So the important part of the Street Profits Wyatt Sicks match is the Borderlands video game. Borderlands 4, which, by the way, the movie version iteration was horrible. It was the worst movie last year. But the video game still goes on, and the Street Profits come out in that. And they're playing up a little bit of the Wyatt Sicks thing that they brought up. Was it on Raw or SmackDown? I forget. Where Bo Dallas came out as himself to start planting seeds of doubt in the camaraderie of the brotherhood that is the Street Profits. And the Wyatt Sicks take care of the Street Profits in 13 minutes. Done. Becky Lynch, Nikki Bella. Nikki Bella made a little bit of trouble trying to do a somersault earlier in the night, and a part of the choreography that did not go well. And Nikki Bella was panned. Listen, I'm glad that I like the fact that she came back and decided to go and work in the company again. I can appreciate that. That's fine. She looks great. I mean, she hasn't aged at all. It's amazing. She's just still looks great, but was never the best wrestler. And for her to go and come back in after so much time off, I'd be a bit rusty. I'm not surprised. So Becky Lynch, Nikki Bella didn't do well. This crowd, by the way, I mean, if we had to go and talk about Pavlovian dogs, this was the crowd. This crowd felt like they were mind controlled. Okay. They didn't necessarily cheer organically. They basically were just like a chant fest. So they knew they had to go and sing here, chant here, say this here, do this phrase here. It's as if they had a script and somebody was just orchestrating them. Do this chant, do this chant. It felt like it was state controlled. I mean, it didn't feel right. It felt contrived. But every crowd knows to do it. And this is the point where the company, I guess they feel good with the fact they got 30,000 people to go and do the same thing all at one time. This crowd was never going to go and boo anything that was going on in this. They don't care if the match was boring. They didn't care if the matches were slow or sluggish. Didn't care. They were just going to go ahead and go along with it. Regardless. I don't know what they did, what they planted into this crowd to get them to go ahead and just go along like that. But watching on television, this pay-per-view, this premium live event was not made for this audience, not for the television audience. What they provide for us as a television product right now is solely for the house show. It's solely for the crowd that is paying top dollar at the gate to watch. And by the way, they're complaining about the fact of how much you're paying. I mean, do I have to go and say that a couple times in Paris while this was going on, there were chants from the crowd upset about how much they're paying. How about the chants in French of, we don't have money left, breaking out at Clash in Paris. Here you go. We don't have money left. That's embarrassing. But they got a full crowd in here. And I can imagine how much money they must have paid for all this. To go in this and spend like crazy. And they got, the stars they have there. Were they necessarily booked great? But then these matches in between. Then you got Rusev and Sheamus. This was a match we might have cared about 10 years ago. More like 12 years ago. Rusev wins. They gave this match 20 minutes. A Good Ol Fashioned Donnybrook match would be a match they would do in Europe as part of a Raw SmackDown. Just a time filler. And this got 20 minutes? Cena, Logan Paul, is as expected. Listen, what they were able to go and do. The most notable thing of this match was the fact that MJF commented on said buckshot lariat by Logan Paul and says that MJF got me laughing today, man. Boy, he got me good. as Wrestle Talk tweets out, Logan Paul hits his buckshot lariat. Maxwell Jacob Friedman, way better than the Crooked Cowboys. Oh man, that was good. Oh my goodness, that gave me a good laugh. And then somebody actually asking, when are you going to go and move up to WWE? And somebody then wrote back, never, in caps, and I gave a heart to that. No. But I could appreciate him watching the opposing product and just this. Listen, if we're going to get a premium live event in WrestlePalooza coming up in Indianapolis, and this is what's going to go up against All Out, I hate to break it to the toxic, juvenile, delusional fandom out there. WWE is not drawing additional fans away from AEW to watch that event. Okay, if you get the dream match of AJ Lee, CM Punk partnering together against Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, doesn't matter. What I think people need to understand is that there is such a thing as two separate audiences for wrestling. The ones that will take what the WWE gives them, if that's your flavor, that's fine. But trust me, there is a flavor of wrestling fans that are okay not watching WWE when there is an alternative to it. And the fact that it'll be a premium live event of that caliber, like a WrestlePalooza, with maybe that might be main evented with that match, fine. I don't think it's going to take eyeballs away from what AEW is doing. Whatever AEW is going to be doing, it's not going to make a difference. And I think WWE doesn't really necessarily pay attention to that fact. Maybe they don't realize it, or they don't care, or they're just ignorant, or just stubborn, or just full of vitriol and hatred. As I said, there are some people within that company, and there are many of those fans that follow along with this company loyalty to the hilt that have a significant Tony Khan derangement syndrome. So if you think a pay-per-view like this tonight, put up against any pay-per-view, is going to make any dent, I mean, sure, the wrestling dirt sheets might talk more about it. I don't know. If there's a choice in between, I can go back and watch the WWE pay-per-view back on demand. I'm not missing anything if I watch it live. I'll take the AEW pay-per-view first. It's because that's the way I used to do it before. If I had Nitro and Raw going on at the same time, I'm watching Nitro first. And then I go back and watch Raw on tape. Same night. And then if I have Thunder or SmackDown on the same night, I'm watching Thunder. And then I will skip through and watch SmackDown. That was the advantage of having a VCR and just recording that and watching Nitro or Thunder live. That's how I used to do it. Pretty simple. Because you could have watched this pay-per-view any time tonight. Are you really missing anything? No, not really. I could have totally missed this pay-per-view tonight. I don't think it would have made a difference. There was nothing that really made me feel so excited about it. I just knew there was a pay-per-view coming up. That's it. The booking is very simple and basic. Listen, I can just go through Wikipedia right now, and they can give me a whole justified point of the storylines that led up to all of this, okay? Which can explain why we are where we are now anyway. The one match we didn't get was supposed to be for the women's world title, and that was Naomi, but she has her pregnancy, so she relinquished the belt, and nothing's been said yet about what was going to happen, but Stephanie McCare was supposed to get a match for the women's world title after winning the Evolution Battle Royal at Clash in Paris. But then things, of course, cards subject to change. So it didn't happen. So the essential points of all the matches we had tonight. For John Cena versus Logan Paul, if you had to go and give us everything that was put into what was the build-up for this match, it's major celebrity versus legend matchup. From villain to hero, John Cena issuing a challenge accepted by Logan Paul. A new chapter for Cena as a hero and significant singles match for Logan Paul. That's all the match was based on. So Logan Paul is going to have this match to go ahead and go up against John Cena. He's just one of those people that are going to be laid into the list of characters that are going to take him on in his retirement tour. And there you go. There's the match. For the Fatal 4-Way, it was multiple intertwined rivalries. Seth Rollins faking the knee entry to win the Money in the Bank briefcase, cashing in and defeating CM Punk for the World Heavyweight title. So there's a storyline there. That's a Paul Heyman thing. I'm sure he was involved in the whole part of that. And the faction of the Vision, Rollins must defend his title against Punk LA Knight, who's been feuding with Rollins since before his injury, and Jey Uso has a long history with Rollins' group, so personal grudges and a chaotic battle in that. And for Rusev and Sheamus, it was a long-running rivalry built on a series of matches. They've traded wins, had a match ending in a draw, which led to the Good Ol Fashioned Donnybrook match to settle the feud, of all things. For Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed, it's based on shoes. So, conflict between Roman Reigns and the Vision. Reigns and his cousin Jey Uso are attacked by the Vision. Reigns seeking revenge on a key member of the group. Also been disrespecting him by selling his shoes. That's your storyline on that. That's all you got on that. And if you want to count Paul Heyman's involvement in all this, okay. And with Becky Lynch and Nikki Bella, it's on a personal insult. Nikki Bella calling Becky Lynch a disappointment. That's all this match was based on as well. And they found themselves in a championship match. And for the Wyatt Sicks, it was just a rematch. They defeated the Street Profits to win the tag team titles, retain the titles at SummerSlam. Street Profits regained the titles. One of them regained the titles, getting another shot after winning a number one contenders match. And that's it. I mean, the storylines are based on very simple, basic, generic feels. I don't know if WWE right now in the current incarnation has to just dumb down the storyline so simple to make it very easy for the least common denominator to go ahead and follow along, but that's what it felt like. Fans like myself, I felt like my intelligence was insulted tonight because the storylines are based on nothing. And when you have them this simple, then why even have the TV shows? Look, I get more intricate, complex storylines from an MLW pay-per-view, and that's once a month I see them on TV. I get more storylines from a AAA pay-per-view, from Worlds Collide going into Triple Mania. The booking they're doing right now is so simple. It's based on the fact that you could just be running the pay-per-views and you don't need the television. But basically, that is what they're booking for right now. It doesn't even matter if they have the television right now. They could just be booking on social media leading up to the pay-per-views, the pay-per-view live events. And that's it. But that's all they need. That's the first part of the insult to intelligence that I get right now off this company on a regular basis. But that's my own personal animus. I mean, I can go ahead and go along and say, hey, you know what? I'll give benefit of the doubt and say, hey, you know what? We are getting storylines. They're just very basic and simple. But, I mean, if the crowd likes it, the loyal, juvenile, delusional fandom likes it, I guess I'm wrong. It's just not my kind of thing. But the rest of the competition is not going to be doing it this way. Even TNA, when they have their storylines, they're a little bit more intricate than this, for sure. But right now, what WWE does, for NXT does, I mean, for the sake of the television, it should be more complex and intricate. But they're not. They don't want to do it that way, but that hurts the product. Because a TV product, you need something for people to have a reason to watch. And you don't, because what I hear now more than anything else and what I ever catch on this program is you see the same stuff over and over because we're only seeing the house show loop. It's like Groundhog Day every week. Raw and SmackDown, the same stuff over and over. You can almost put the same word for word promos out there because they're basically being left organic to just leave it to them, not even talking points. Just go out there. It doesn't matter what you say. I don't want it to be that way. It wasn't always like this. I mean, I don't know. Is Bruce Pritchard and the others back there, are they booking for the 80s when they only had an hour a week? You have a commitment of, 5.5 hours a week of your main roster product, of which you're making about $1 billion a year. And I don't know what you're doing. I don't get it. You have capable people that can actually go ahead and, perform the storylines. I even imagine some of the people that I'm not necessarily big about either, if you gave them the right stuff to work off of, they could probably go ahead and cut promos back there backstage. They could probably take some storylines and run with it. I would prefer that, but we're not getting that at all. They don't want to give us that. And it's becoming much more generic than ever before. Is it because, I don't know, when they have to go to TKO headquarters and they have to go and explain to the management, the corporate structure, the WWE officials, like, okay, Triple H, Paul Heyman, Bruce Pritchard, whoever else, they have to go and explain this stuff to Ari Emanuel and Mark Shapiro and whoever else, or Nick Khan. Like, do you need to just like make it so simple that they can understand it? Because they might think to themselves, well, UFC's not like this. Just do like what UFC does. They do something simple. Because the storylines are like UFC. There's not much to it. Like they don't want to make anything make believe. They don't want to do anything make believe whatsoever. They just want to go ahead and create a story based on whatever they can kind of put together off of what's been done before. They don't want to create anything new. They don't want to be responsible for continuity for anything they create extra. But right now, the Vision, that's a full Paul Heyman production right there. The fact he's bringing wives into it, that's a absolute 100%. That's 100% what Paul Heyman would do. He likes bringing the spouses into it. Which is why he did the thing with Rusev and Lana. Which is why in ECW you had Beulah McGillicuddy and Tommy Dreamer up against a Sandman and Woman. It's the same thing. Or Sandman's son coming out. Like all those kind of things. He loves doing that crap, man. That's the ECW storyline right there. So the Vision storyline, now the fact that Becky Lynch is part of that, okay, I could take that part. And Roman Reigns being taken out the way he was, I could take that part too. It just felt like it was Paul Heyman booking, which is fine. I'm used to that. That's okay. I don't necessarily care for the way they decided to go and take Roman Reigns out, but that's neither here nor there. Why Bronson Reed is looked at? I don't know. I feel like with Bronson Reed, I think Paul Heyman sees him as a Bam Bam Bigelow type, and I don't. I'm sorry, Bam Bam Bigelow was much more agile, much more athletic, and could do a hell of a lot more. He could run circles for Bronson Reed. I'm sure Bronson Reed would know that too. But it's pretty obvious that Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, now you're going to have the point of that. And Becky Lynch interjecting her into this right now. She's a title holder. You really can't do much with her right now on the certain storylines that she has right now. She's kind of exhausted with Becky Bailey or Lyra and whoever else they got back there. So yeah, give her something to go and do. You tie her in right now on this. That's fine. But the rest of this show that they sandwiched in between, I don't know, man. There's a lot to be said about what they could have done. And no title changes, of course. So they're basically booking like a Scott D'Amore, the B-level pay-per-views, the TNA plus pay-per-views, right? The ones that are not the major four. And it feels like that's what they're doing, is that the major four pay-per-views are what they're going to be doing. And the only title change we got at all was for the U.S. title with the MFTs and Solo Sikoa dropping the belt to Sami Zayn, which you did that on SmackDown. No, we didn't put it on the pay-per-view. You put it on SmackDown. So a title change doesn't happen on what's been paid for on Peacock. No. You put it on cable. I mean, it's a little bit out of sorts, but this is what this company's going to choose to do. Like, what am I supposed to go and do but just make my points about it and just leave it alone? But I am definitely of the opinion that AEW has nothing to worry about. They need to worry about their own shit. AEW needs to be concerned about what they need to go and do to get mainstream presence. They do not need to be looking at WWE as competition. Because what WWE is doing is nothing at all what AEW is doing. And AEW obviously does not want to be doing what WWE is doing. Tony Khan prefers a little more intricate, complex storytelling with some make-believe in there, stretching whatever has to be done to create a storyline that will be cohesive to put a match together. Now, you don't have to like who he's booking for those matches. You don't like the matchups he has for those. You don't have to like the storylines for those, but he's doing it that way, which is actually what sports entertainment is based on. And I've already made my point about what WWE is right now. It's very basic, generic. It's easy for the audience to consume, easy for mass audiences to consume. That's it. But for fans like me, they're not booking. WWE is not being booked for fans like me anymore. It's not. But I also think they're insulting the young fans' intelligence out there. And I think they could take a little more make-believe, a little more suspension of disbelief. We could do more with that. But they don't want to do that here. And there are other stars they have in their roster they could be using, but they're not. For the fact that you're fit a 4-way match, you have all 40-year-olds in there for the World Heavyweight title. Not a lot of young players in this mix either. By the way, keep that in mind. Everybody that you had in this match was relatively, except for Logan Paul, he might have been the youngest star in the whole group. But everybody else, well into their 40s or near it. That's it. Bronson Reed's 37. LA Knight's 41, I think. Seth Rollins is in his 40s, right? Cena's in his 40s. CM Punk well in his 40s. Teetering towards 50. Jey Uso already hit him in his 40s, right? Like this older. Is who they want to have up there. No new stars to think about. Or even to be considered. I mean, if there are, Braun Breaker, who's just a player, a cog in the wheel of the vision. But he's not being made important. At one point, he was IC champion multiple times. What has he done now? He just does spears. And he can, get the crowd to go ahead and start barking like dogs. That's it. You didn't put Braun Breaker in the storyline here with Roman Reigns. No, you had to go and give Bronson Reed over shoes. Remember, they like trinkets in part of storylines. So bracelets, shoes, proving you're wrong, raising my hand in victory. These are the things of value more than the belts. I'm just repeating myself, but it needs to be repeated again. All right. And that's all I got to say about this. I'm not going any farther than this, but I was disappointed. Way too long of this pay-per-view, by the way. This could have been 2.5 hours. It could have almost been 2 hours. They did not need to go ahead and go this long. 4 hours for this show, unacceptable. The intros for all this here, and I almost timed it exactly. I had to go ahead and stop. I was, driving for Uber all day today watching the pay-per-view because the middle of the day is just tough to watch as opposed to watching at night. And then a little after 5 o'clock, I know they were going right to the main event, and they were already, it was doing the promo right before they do the introductions. And I needed to go to the restroom. And I needed about 15 minutes to take that break. And by the time I came back out of the bathroom, they had just started introducing the participants of the ring. Alicia Taylor had just started doing intros. 15 minutes of intros. So I almost timed it exactly right. CM Punk was going to take forever to get out there. His song sung. Jey Uso and the Yeet chants going on. And Seth Rollins coming out to his thing. Yeah, I knew it was going to take a while. 15 minutes for that. 15 minutes for Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed to come on out. There's no extra pomp or circumstance necessary, okay? I'm not necessarily impressed by it. The drone shots, don't care about that either. And the unnecessary amount of gratuitous advertising. Like, the French crowd there in Paris, yeah, what are they going to know about Papa John's and Riyadh season and all this other stuff? It's like it doesn't even matter. It doesn't. Oh, no, oh, we're just here. Oh, don't worry about this. Listen, we don't care what city we're in. Oh, here's the Eiffel Tower. That's what we know about Paris. So we'll put that right there to recognize what's the difference. But let's make sure Riyadh season right there in the front. Oh, nothing about WWE on the ropes or the apron. Okay, Riyadh season, big, huge logo in the middle of the ring. With all these other American sponsors, that these French people will not even care or even notice what that's all about. Probably won't even have money for it because, of course, we're all out of money. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, it was a fatal four-way match with a no DQ. And somebody asks, why did Becky need to disguise herself? It's a no DQ match. So she disguised herself to give the low blow to CM Punk while he had Seth Rollins with the go to sleep. And yeah, she had to go ahead and reveal herself in an ODQ match. Pretty good point. Anyways. Okay, well, that's how I'm going to do this show tonight. That's it. Thanks for listening in. Finding other Wrestling Gets Her podcast because wrestling needs us.